Does anyone have, does anyone have a topic they would like to start with? Vincent, any more on liking and patience?
No, not really. We know what essentially that means anyway, County.
Yeah. I thought
And
your point on the your post on DSG about the liking being related to it made sense. I don't know, from the little bit I know, patience and endurance seems like the best translation, but I can certainly understand how you could see liking as part of it, unless, of course, you had to be patient with something you really didn't like. Just endure it.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, I thought it was interesting the way you twisted and fiddled around with that.
And when it's talking about Kanti, patience, in connection with Vipassana Jnana, then it's Kanti Jnana. So it's a very highly developed kind of Kanti, yes, patience. So I think, as Ajahn said, nothing to do with liking at all.
I'm saying the liking there, which signifies a bit of lopa. No.
Sarah.
Yes, Ewan.
I just listened to the Thanajan, the COVID, which is with Kun Ann and others helping to have an English version. Thank you very much, Kun Ann, and other people who helped to make this happen in English also. One of the questions I'd like to ask is about near cause and far cause. Would you mind to talk a bit more about it? Thank you.
Near cause and far cause for what?
Like in the video, I was talking about near cause of something that like you could be like a preventive or do. But
I remember the part, Owen. I remember that part. I think, as I recall, let's take the example of Jonathan and Sarah with the COVID. The near cause is proximity to somebody who has it and spreads the germs, the whatever. That's the conventional look at it. But the absolute truth is that it's not the conventional, but the Dhamma, that if one is going to get sick, it's because of conditions, that there are conditions that cause it. And one of those conditions would be Gamma Pachaya, and that not in the sense, the general global sense of, gee, I've got COVID, but the momentary, the pain, the coughing, the fatigue, etc., moment to moment. So I took it as conventionally we say, well, I got exposed to it. I was with, at the Dhamma discussions in wherever, and I got it. And but I think the point following that, John said that you might be close to people who've had it, and you can take all the precautions in the world, but you still might get it. It's the conventional precautions you would take are not going to stop you from getting it if the conditions are such that you get it. I don't know whether I've said that very clearly or not, but you know, I've got pain in my arm because I broke my arm. Well, the pain is actually not from the break. The pain is the vipaka, the bodily feeling in the vipaka. And then any continuing pain would be because of the mental, the moments of thinking afterwards that would keep the story going.
Okay.
Tom, I've just seen that you posted the extract. So do you have any comments about it? Oh, there's a bit more now.
Hello. I've just had a quick look at the passage, and I think Ajahn is talking in the conventional sense here. She says, did those who contracted COVID do anything, there's a typo there, do anything to try to avoid it? Many did, but they still got it. Others took no steps to avoid it. Some of them got the virus while others didn't. Near causes are those within view. If we're not careful and do nothing to avoid COVID, we give rise to contracting it. However, there are also far causes. Some people are very careful and still get the virus, while others are not at all careful and don't get it. Why is this?
I think if you read further down, further along, oh, there we are. Okay, yes, Tambak got it all here. And John says, in spite of being careful, we can still become ill if there are conditions for it. If there are no conditions, no matter what, we won't become ill. Our volitional actions, Dhamma, 5, always bring results. I'm not sure what the 5 is. I guess through the 5 sense doors.
But the reference in the first part to the near and far causes was there just, she was just using it conventional. It's just talking conventionally about, we think about, oh, well, I'm the cause of Jonathan getting COVID or something, and this is the near cause. So she's just talking conventionally, but later on she goes to talk about what the real cause is, the real cause of the bodily painful feeling now as past karma, not the other person, not the situation at all. So those are just the conventional ideas, but we begin to understand what the actual realities are and the real causes are.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to learn the distinction between the conventional ideas and, you know, being the immediate cause of this and that, and the far cause of this and that, and what in reality the causes are.
Yes, because some people who contract it are asymptomatic, so there's no agusala vipaka involved, and that's why it doesn't make sense. I mean, one can talk about near and far causes, but it's a purely conventional arrangement. When we talk in terms of absolute realities, then result would not be catching COVID, but would be the painful bodily feeling that's experienced associated with the headache or the fever or whatever. Rather than the situation, the conventional situation of having contracted COVID.
Like right now, everyone's asking how I am, and we say I have COVID and this was the cause of the COVID and this and that. But actually at this very moment, no sore throat, no cough, no bodily discomfort, no agusala vipaka of that kind. So where is the COVID? What is the COVID at this moment? Actually, it's just an idea, just a story, because at the moment of seeing is seeing COVID. It's a visible object seen COVID. At the moment of hearing, it's the sound COVID. At the moment of touching hardness, it's the hardness COVID. So it just shows how we live in this dream world and the story about I and I that has COVID. And this is the real problem in life.
Right.
Taking it all for something, taking it for so seriously, taking it for the situation and the idea of I that has COVID.
Mm.
But actually
So,
it's just-
Owen, the near cause and far cause are not Dhamma terms as such. When we talk about cause and effect in terms of absolute realities, it can refer to some of the types of conditions, most notably, of course, Gamma and Vipaka. But there are also other conditions that could be understood as cause and effect.
Mhm.
And the different conditions have effect, obviously, in different ways. That's why they're different conditions.
Mhm.
But the most obvious is Kama and Vipaka, Vipaka being the experiencing of an unpleasant object through one of the sense doors.
Okay. Sorry, this may not be the best example to ask, to refer to this word because it's about COVID and it's going on. But I think I'll slowly absorb what you explained because it's not a Dhamma term.
Mhm.
So better to focus on the Vipaka and Kama, which is going to cause the result later. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's good to appreciate what is conventional language and what is Dhamma language. We use both in our discussions, and either is okay in the context, so long as we appreciate which is which.
Mhm.
But that's why when you asked me at the beginning what was meant by near cause and far cause, it was so difficult for me to answer. I needed to see the context and then see, oh, it's just conventional ideas. Yes.
Oh, yeah. The other thing,
Thank you, Anne.
you're welcome. You're very welcome. The
And
other thing,
helpful of Tam to post the
yes,
extract
yes,
to Tam,
yes,
yes.
yes. There's somewhere else in there, John, says, if there are precautions to be taken, by all means take them, but it doesn't mean you won't get it. And then goes on to explain explain it in Dhamma terms, in absolute realities, Gamma and Vipaka. But there's no suggestion that one shouldn't take the precautions.
Because the medicine is nutriment, so the nutriment is also
Yes,
necessary, and so many different conditions support whether the karma bringing its results. So the temperature, the nutriment, and so on. So if someone has the idea that, oh, no use in taking medicines to try and give prevention and no point in wearing a mask and so on, then this would be the wrong understanding completely.
For sure.
But
But
one can also see how the worry and thinking and obsession causes more and more trouble and brings more sickness just by itself.
Yeah. I hadn't actually thought of the medicines as nutriment, but yes, of course.
Even the very bitter medicine, it's nutriment for the body. I don't know if Gurng is there. Gurng, are you there? Juniper Networks Vietnam, is that Gurng?
I believe so.
Yes. The reason is I was asking if
Yes, I'm here, but I'm at the charity event just a moment, and I go back. The charity event.
okay. The reason I was just asking, Gurng, is if you can hear me at least, is because talking about nutriment condition and the other day you were asking about this point about ahara paccaya, nutriment condition, especially the part of the nutriment condition referring to food, and that we were discussing how medicine is a kind of food, a nutriment condition. And you were asking about whether it can condition the groups of rupas of the body, for example. And you actually asked Ajahn and she didn't respond, and we repeated it. And afterwards I checked in the texts, and the rupas that are conditioned by karma, such as eye sense and body sense, these groups of rupas are conditioned by karma, but the edible food nutriment can also support the rupas that are conditioned by karma. So it's karma is the main condition for those rupas, but the nutriment, the food nutriment, can also be additional support. So many different conditions involved, and also the nutriment conditions other groups of rupas in the body, and the nutriment in those conditions other groups of rupas. So it's not just the nutriment from outside the body, but the nutriment that is in each group of rupas within the body conditions further groups of rupas. When you
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
I know it's difficult for you to speak now, Gurng, when you finish your charity event. And if you're able to join that, oh, we can see you briefly now, I think. Hi, Gurng. We can't hear you now, Gurng. Maybe wait until you're free, it's fine. Gurng was in.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I think a little bit noisy. Yeah.
Okay, later, it's fine. Glad you're still well. So many people who were my close contacts during this week, but somehow haven't still without COVID. All depends on karma. Nina, anything you would like to bring up today? We can't hear you, Nina. I didn't hear you, Nina.
No, I'm nothing special, but things come up when there is a discussion in the course of the discussion.
How about you, Alberto? Any other reflections? We can bring anything up again with the Jan, but just to start discussing any further topics. Can't hear you either. I'm still not hearing you.
You ask a question? No?
Alberto's
Oh, yeah.
speaking, but we can't hear him.
Alberto.
Okay.
Yes, I forgot to. Yeah, I'm just at the moment, no question, no comments, no. Sorry.
I have something that I've thought about from time to time. The word appears. Am I muted, or can you hear me?
No, you're loud and clear, Anne.
Okay. Appears. And it's just, I guess somehow it's been driven home recently that when we're talking about when something appears, when a reality appears, it appears to understanding. In our daily lives, it's the nimitta of many realities mixed together is what appears. Because at some point, I guess I was thinking about, well, for instance, in our daily lives, we know from intellectual understanding that the sense door jittas arise, and subsequently the jhana jittas, and then the mind door. So we know that that's happening all the time. They're simply arising. But for that, when we talk about appearing, it means it's appearing to, well, ignorance most of the time. And when there's right understanding and enough of it, the reality will appear directly to panya. But I know there was a time when I was definitely not quite entirely understood entirely what it means when it appears. I mean, I knew it arose and it appeared to something, but it can't appear to us in conventional life unless there's enough understanding that there's a directly it appears to panya. I hope this makes some sense, but it's something I struggled with for a bit, and it's helpful to understand it in the context of it appears to be known by panya.
Anne?
Yes.
I think we can also use appears in daily life in conventional sense to refer to things that aren't directly known, but we can know that they must be there.
Yes. Yes.
So we can say that visible object, is, well, what is actually appearing, of course, are the concepts, the thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
But we can say that seeing and visible object are appearing all day long.
I guess that's where I would say arising all day long.
Arising all day long. Okay, must be arising all day long, because there is the idea of visible object appearing, the idea of the visible appearing, even though it's a concept and it's
right.
thinking.
And there wouldn't
Yes,
be the connect without the.
Whereas there are other realities that we understand they do arise, but there's nothing to indicate that.
Right.
In the way we experience things in daily life.
Are you talking about the realities that that can't be known?
Right. Yeah, like the other jittas in the sense door process, or some of the jeta seekers like Passa and Manasikara, for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ajahn always asks, does it appear well?
Yeah.
Because that is very important. It appears well.
Yeah, so I think Ajahn uses, for the case of what appears to understanding, appears well.
Yeah.
And for the more conventional sense, just appears. One can make that distinction.
I think also, I don't know if this is related to the other discussion you had with Ajahn, which someone transcribed, but I think it's a similar point. But the reality in the life is just the same, whether there's understanding or not. So what is experienced is just the same. Sound is sound that is experienced, whether there's any understanding of it or not. So sometimes when we say, does it appear, it means sound is heard, but is there any understanding of it? Sampatichana arises, but it never appears whether there's understanding or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends a little bit on the context.
Yeah. I think I,
kindness. Everyone knows there is moments of kindness now, but does it appear? Is it any understanding of what kindness is? Usually not. Usually it's just an idea of my kindness.
you said just then, Sarah, you know, when we hear something, we know that hearing must be there. There must be hearing consciousness at some point, but we don't, it doesn't appear to any understanding. And I guess that's where I've been thinking it's almost easier to distinguish it by saying, does it arise? Because I remember the point the other day when Ajahn asked something about, you know, what appears. And I sort of quizzically looked and said, well, citta arising and, you know, various sense door jittas and the arising falling. No. She was at that point asking what appears, people and things.
Right.
So at that point, it's what appeared to.
What appears, what is right, what is the object like? Is interesting because what you just said that I said was the opposite of what
Really?
I said,
Okay.
yes. So sound now is experienced.
Yes.
So we can say it appears, but it's not known as sound. It's there's the idea of something.
Yeah.
And the hearing arises and falls away, but it's not appearing. So it's
No.
not known. So if Ajahn says, well, what appears, and you say hearing, well, hearing is not the object of experience. It's not appearing at this moment. Sound is always experienced at the moment of hearing, but
Yes.
hearing, the reality, it only appears when there's understanding. So if one says it's hearing that appears now, then that means there is understanding of the reality of hearing
Right.
at this moment.
Right.
So that's one point. And if one is asked what appears now, well, when one says, oh, people and things, one knows that that is just the object of thinking, but it's what seems to appear. Actually,
Yes.
it's not what is appearing, it's what seems to appear, what is imagined to appear at this moment. In fact, it's just sound that is heard, but it seems that it's the sound of a voice or sound of words that appears.
Right. And I think it's just, like I say, in my own mind, I've distinguished between what's arising and what appears, as in appearing being directly known as appearing. Because even when sound arises and we know that there is sound and it must be appearing, or it wouldn't be experienced. And if it weren't experienced, we wouldn't hear it. We wouldn't, it would be, but there would be, if it weren't experienced, there'd be no hearing. But I guess I've found it more convenient to talk about something arising. We know when sound is heard, there must be sound arising to be experienced, or we wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be any hearing. I think again, it's maybe a question of semantics, the arising and appearing.
Maybe, and it may be thinking too much or making it too complicated because
Over here.
because yes, it is just sound that is heard
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But does the sound appear? Is it understood at this moment, or is it imagined to be something and someone?
Right.
So what appears actually is just sound, but whether it's understood is another matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the hearing, it arises, it falls away. Does it appear? Not unless there's understanding of it right now.
Right. Oh, I think I get your distinction. We know sound must appear in order for us to hear and think there is sound. But the
That's the story about it. But
That's the
right at
story
this
about it.
moment, what appears, sound appears right now, visible object appears right now. Because if we say, well, we know there must be sound, that is not what appears right now. That's thinking about what appears
I
now.
suppose so. But again, yeah, I can stop. Well, again, as I say, sound has arisen, or we could, and that's how we end up thinking about it. But again, sound can't really be known until it's understood. I think
the point of asking what I think the point of asking what appears now is to point to what is there at this very moment, not let's think about the logical story of what we've heard should be there.
Right.
At this very moment, the world of sound is here right now. At this instant.
that
So it's just pointing to the truth right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to check it. Jan, are you here now? Jan,
Excuse me, can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you now. Sawadika, Jan.
สวัสดีค่ะ
อเมริกา
ส
คุ
วั
ณ
สดี
สุ
ครับ
จิน
ท่านอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
And we've chatted about one or two topics. Owen asked a question and she may like to bring it up again. And we had a brief topic of Vincent's we referred to, and Anne is just talking now about what appears at this moment. So maybe we can just carry on with this one and then go back to one of the others or another one. So we were just talking about what appears right now. And I was just saying that when we say that when we ask what appears now, like sound appears now, we don't need to think of a long story about what should be there because at a moment of hearing, sound is experienced. It's just pointing to the truth that can be known now. Anything else, Anne?
No, I think that's fine, Sarah.
And Kun Owen's question before related to the topic about the article on COVID, and she was asking what you meant about near cause and far cause in that discussion, but it seemed it was referring to conventional ideas. But anything else on that point, Kun Owen? Anyone? Sorry, we can't hear you, Owen.
What is there now? Because in life there are so many things, and we think about it as different as the way it really is. We take it for something all the time. So it does mean that we don't know anything in life. There is seeing, hearing, smelling, but what is the truth of each one is not known. We take everything for something. Like seeing is I see frog, see bird, see and so on. But in truth, who knows the truth of seeing? The nature of the absolute truth. That's why we begin to talk about what is there in life, to understand the nature of each one, as it cannot be taken for even anything at all. It just appears at the moment and then gone. So how can it be anything? Impossible. But since the way it arises and falls away so very, very fast until it appears as nimitta by shape and form, and it's known as something all the time in one's life. Who knows the absolute truth? But what is there when it does not appear as it is because of the rapidity of the succession? That's why in order to understand each one, if we just begin to talk about each one, it's there now, and seeing before now, seeing after this moment, and hearing what are there in life can be known. It's nature one by one. Even they appear as they are together like now. So to understand what is the absolute truth in life, never change. It cannot be changed because it arises and falls very instantly. What can anyone do anything to it? Impossible. That's why learning to understand what is that moment of seeing. Absolutely true. Seeing cannot be anything else. See, begin to be truthful to the truth. Seeing arises, otherwise there is no seeing. And seeing sees, and it says that can be seen only. Only that which can impinge on the eye base, and without that eye base and the object which can impinge on it, there cannot be a moment of experiencing it arising to experience. That is the way it is. That's why it is Dhamma, reality, a reality. Just learn to understand the absolute of what is there in life. That's all. Little by little. To understand the truth, the absolute truth. What is that, oh dear, gone, never to return at all. And what is object of attachment is only that which can be seen. If it's not seen, it cannot be object of attachment. And that which is heard, if it's not heard, that cannot be attachment to hearing and sound and so on. This is life. In truth, just to study like other subject, like other knowledge, but it's the knowledge of understanding what is there in truth, and the understanding develops. So it's the senseless, useless of what is there just rises and falls away, no one there at all. And they cannot be at anyone's will, because actually the truth will is such and such and such. That's why learn to understand the absolute truth of what is there, just to have right understanding. And even right understanding cannot be anyone at all. Just learn about the way what is there appears a magician. In truth, they are gone, but they seem like never gone away at all. From then on and on and on, from today to be tomorrow, and then on and on and on, to this month and next month, and so on and on and on. In truth, nothing is there anymore, just in a moment. Just learn about the truth and let right understanding develops by itself to the degree that it can directly experience what is there, which has been heard, which has been studied, which has been known little by little. Otherwise, who can let go the idea of self, let go attachment to life, let go to the moment of enjoying life, outside, inside the room, the house, many places to go, see, or by conditions, no understanding of that. What is so present is not there anymore. Even right now, at moment of talking, there must be the will, the intention to talk such and such words, in such and such ways, in such and such understanding, so on. It's life. If anyone would like to understand life, it has to be understanding what is there at this moment. Otherwise, we are interested to study, to know other things besides what is there is taken for us at birth, at moment of seeing, hearing, and then gone, never to arrive again. Just to understand whether it's true or not, what is said about the truth of seeing right now, it cannot hear, it's a reality which arises just to see. And what is seeing is a reality which can experience the object. Because there are other reality which cannot experience anything. But seeing is only which arises to experience what is there at moment of seeing. It doesn't cause any trouble. It's there understanding what is true but later. No need to do anything at all. Just be truthful to the truth, is true or not. When it's true, it's true. And it's deeper than that, more subtle than that. The truth is so very subtle. More truth can reveal itself, can show up little by little. At moment of understanding, have tender interest to know the truth, not to like it, not to try to have it, but to just understand the truth. So we read about the truth from the Pitaka, Vinaya, Sutta, Abhidhamma, or about the truth at any moment right now too. So we are talking about truth of what is there, as much as can be a little more understanding of the truth, because the truth is so very subtle. Sound is heard. What is it? Where is it? After it's heard, it's gone. And hearing hears that which is heard, and then gone. Is this not true? Is it true? It is the absolute truth. Life is just in a moment. And there are many, many moments of life different by conditions. That's why there is no I, as we used to think all the time. I see, I hear, I like. Like is like. Seeing is seeing. Hearing is hearing, and then gone. Just consider what is there now. With the truth of it is just like it arises, so it's there, and then gone after it has performed its part. Otherwise, there cannot be seeing this moment. If there is a reality which arises and sees as its function. Just begin to have confidence in the truth. And it's there to be known little by little that they are different from the other. Seeing is only seeing. And there's not just seeing. So what is there is another, that which is there. By conditions, every moment. Whatever is there is a reason. The sound heard, the hearing hears. Just understand what is in life as it is, not as my or I or things. Because in truth, whatever arises falls away instantly, never to arise again in samsara. When it's something is object of attachment, but it's only that which is hard, that is heard, that is smelled, that is just tasted and then gone from moment to moment. Is it tiring? Nothing is there. Only appearing and disappearing. But the attachment is accumulated to arise, to be attached to that which is not known, the truth of it as it is, not anything. The firm foundation of understanding the truth can condition direct understanding by conditions one reality at a time. by direct understanding and direct awareness of the object. And object one at a time. Even it's so quick, but it's there, different from when it's not directly aware of. Is any sound heard? See, I heard the sound of the bird. A bird. It's there, but it's only that which is heard. But the understanding of that which appears is not enough. As it's there and then gone. No bird.
And I think, Anne, the reason why there's the thinking about the story, well, there's hearing, so there must be sound and so on, is because the understanding is not enough. So because there's not enough understanding of just what appears now, sound, and then gone, not enough confidence. So then there is the thinking about the long story about it, but just what appears right now means what is the reality that is experienced that can be known now. So
What
no
is
matter
there? Yeah.
no matter
What
the
is
sound
there?
of a bird or sound of the construction noise which I have, or the sound of the voices around, it's just sound and then
Yeah.
gone. No need to think
Right.
too much about it at all.
True. As Ajahn keeps saying, it's there. What is there? Yeah.
What is there? It doesn't matter whether we say what appears or what is
Yeah.
there. It's
What is
just
there? Yeah. What is there? Yeah.
just sound.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn.
Hang, you were asking the other day what Jan was referring to when she mentioned, and we think it was Katawatu, but I wasn't, it was when I was sick, so I didn't hear the discussion. Would you like to ask Jan more about it? We thought the word was Katawatu.
Yes, in the Chinese discussion last week, Achan mentioned about the different way of Dhamma. So she mentioned maybe Katavatu. So Achan, would you like to explain more about this term?
Just Katha is the word, right? So
Yes.
it is a moment of talking about the meaning of a word. Whether there is clear understanding of that word enough by different naya. For example, is everything Sankhara Dhamma?
Yes.
See? So the other way is everything Sankhara Khanda?
Yes.
Different. See? Just talk about Dhamma, Sankhara Dhamma, and Khanda, Sankhara Khanda. Without clear understanding, we think that they are the same, these two words, but in fact, not at all. Sankhara is the meaning of that which conditions and so on. And Dhamma is whatever is real. So every reality which arises is Sankhara Dhamma. So the question is whether it's everything is Sankhara Dhamma. If there's not enough understanding, we cannot understanding the difference between Sankhara Dhamma and Sankhara Khanda. Just the way to train, to consider the truth more fine and very subtle, little by little.
Because usually people think of Katawatu as just referring to topics of discussion or different kinds of discussion, but here it's about different meanings of the word, discussing about different meanings, and in order to understand more about what different dhammas are, like khandha or sankhara. So
Or
what
is phassa ayatana, and then is ayatana phassa? See?
So what about when Katawatu is used for the last book of the Abhidhamma? So here, can you say it's just the same? It's just the talks about the different meanings of the Buddha's teachings, about the meanings of different words?
To know where there is the understanding of Ornaya, of our reality, by way of Khanda, by way of Ayatana, by way of Paticca Samuppada, by way of Ariya Satya, because usually it's just one reality. It can be asked to understand how much understanding one has about it. More enough or less, not yet enough.
And when you say to know whether there's this understanding of the Naya of reality, by Naya there, you mean the development of understanding of the reality, or what do you mean by Naya there?
Certainly, because before there can be a moment of direct awareness with understanding of that object, there must be understanding of the truth of it, firm enough to understand it as just by way of what? By way of khanda. We don't have to use the term khanda. Now I'm considered by way of khanda, not at all. But the moment when it's not there, as it has a reason, that is by way of khanda. And by way of paticca samuppada, where the phassa is khanda, where the nama is conditioned by such and such, and it conditioned the other thing by such and such. All depends on the others. At what moment, past, or present, or future. So it means that there is not just present moment, there must be past and future moments, different realities, but different characteristics, but the same characteristic. As phassa, it is phassa when it's there, and then it's gone. And no matter phassa arise again, when it's khanda, when it's ayatana, when it's paticca samuppada, when it's lokuttara, and when it's lokiya, and so on. To have firm confidence of the truth, stronger, but it's not known how strong it is. But now, can there be just the understanding of that which appears as it is? No thought about it, but it's the understanding, because it has been aware of that object or this object or objects in life enough, and it means that it let go many degrees of attachment until it can be so natural, no matter what, strong or weak, it can be object of understanding, of letting. So natural, because no one can change the way it appears now. But even it appears just like this, no moment of arising and falling away. But in truth, the firm understanding is that it's a reality. It's me. If there's no understanding of the characteristic, which is only that reality, can there be the understanding of the difference between that and the other? For example, right now, seeing and hearing. If there's no understanding of seeing, no understanding of hearing, one is not acquainted to the reality, which is a reality, which sees and which hears and so on. No understanding of what is there. But it appears and appears and appears differently, unknown, that they are different realities, not one. which experience different objects, but there are many experiencing too. There is not just one reality which experience everything. Otherwise, there cannot be letting go the idea of self. So the panya, right understanding only, which develop to let go what is there as something or I, little by little, at any time, at any situation. Thinking is a reality, which seeing, and no attention, no understanding, no interest to understand. So they go on and on and on without any understanding. But when it's the object of understanding, it begins to be understood, different characteristics, different experiencing. Attachment is not anger, it's not ignorance, it's not memory, it's not feeling, and so on. In a day, there's feeling, memory, and touching, and seeing without any attention or awareness or understanding at all. But when there is the understanding of what is there, enough, it begins to think about it or to be interested in it unknowingly, gradually, by conditions, before it can be known as no one. They are all Dhamma, they are anatta, no matter what arises and appears, only by conditions. So natural, so familiar with that which appears as it is, little by little, as no one and no thing. Because it's so quickly gone. So how can it be anything? But correct understanding is not firm enough. That's why I hear the sound of a bird. Not that it's not there anymore as soon as it's heard. No hearing and no sound of what we take for bird. But in truth, no bird. But the absolute truth is the sound. It can be the sound of anything. The waterfall, something fall on the ground. Sound is sound. The more understanding, the more letting go, taking whatever so very important to be as just a moment. Moments and moments and moments, different momentary. What is there? Nothing. Sunyata. What appears? Anatta. And then sunyata, gone. Never to return. So when there's a little more understanding of the truth of what there in life, at moment of hearing something, there can be a moment of understanding sound as not, it's not sound of anything. Because it's gone. And thinking keeps on thinking about the sound of thunder, the sound of a car running passing. Only that sound gone. Sound of what is not known. But it's taken for the sound of something, not the sound of bird. When there is a firm understanding, firm confidence of the truth, we can listen, we can read, we can think over it, we can consider it and have more understanding of the truth that is there, but the truth is covered up because not in understanding to condition awareness of reality yet, but it can begin anytime. Even it's not so sharp, so frequent, but it be known as is that, which is different from it's not be the object of direct awareness and understanding. Just like now. It begins to be object, only one. Even there are many things follow, but there can be a moment of being aware of one characteristic. No word, because it's just the sound. It's heard. No one song. Can you hear the sound of a bird now?
Yes, I can hear the sound of the bird.
Yeah. But actually no bird, no eye.
So Hang, anything further on Kata Watu or your comment from the other day? What was the particular interest, or just because the word was not familiar?
Yes, it's very interesting, and it makes me consider more and more. I consider more and more because Ajahn talk a lot, and it's a very deep meaning. So you have to listen and consider more and more about this.
And Ajahn came back to the word Naya, Vincent, and
Yes.
understanding by different Naya, and such as by way of Kanda or by way of Arya Satcha and so on. And this relates to the discussion we were having on the passage under Samasana Jnana, when you said that you think that this stage, that the word isn't, you're not interested in the particular word, like here in the translation where they use inductive, but you understand that it just means that this stage is different, and it's referring to the conclusion is that what is you generalized from the limited to the sufficient. Would you like to just summarize your understanding and how it connects to the word Naya there? Because I think you still think that whether one uses inductive or inferential, but it's a different meaning, I think, from the way that Ajahn is using Naya.
So this word inductive is used as translation in the Visuddhimagga. Well, I didn't really pay much attention to how accurate the inductive should be. To me, I understand this particular stage is different from the other stages in terms of, for example, this stage is when it has the knowledge of this stage. It's the be just any rupa, be it in the past or future, far or near, etc. So any person's direct experience cannot cover far and near. All the far world, all the seeing there, all the seeing in the far future, say the next Buddha's time, the seeing. It cannot be done, it cannot be directly experienced. So this stage, after moments of vipassana jnana, it starts to accumulate the confidence and the generalization. This truth must be universally truth, doesn't matter anytime, anywhere, any quality. So that's what I have the impression. This stage is called inductive stage. Inductive insight, because you cannot really directly experience all the realities anywhere or anytime. That's how I understand that word. So I don't really think about that word that much. Just it just means different from the other stages. It's not like the next stage, the rising and falling away start to become clear and clear. That's quite direct knowledge. That's how I understand. I don't know if it's correct or not. Sarah, is that clear?
I'm waiting for Ajahn to give her comments.
What is inductive now? Otherwise, we don't know what we're talking about. We have heard the word inductive. And what is inductive now? Without any understanding at all, without any words which will induce the meaning to be understood, the moment it's there, the way it is, one or another way. Well, because as soon as we heard the word, it's real. Yes, understand incident, it's real. But without condition, without considering what is meant by real, can it induce or is what inductive to understand further? Even the meaning, anaya of real. What is it? Real. It's there, appearing as you use the way it is, like seeing. It now appears the moment of seeing, so that it's that which sees. Can it lead a little bit to understand that reality which experiences that which is seen? Talking just about different kinds of different characteristics of the reality which experiences an object. So at moment of hearing, it does not see. So hearing is different from seeing at all, because it cannot experience visible object. But it's that which hear. There must be something heard by hearing, because hearing hears it. So it's there, the sound. But who think about the hearing is that we are talking about the inductive way to develop understanding. Little by little, the words of the teaching becomes clearer and clearer when there is more understanding. But when there's no understanding at all, it's impossible. Someone read the page or part of Vipassana Yana, first, second, third, and so on, very quickly, in an hour, how much understanding of each different one to be developed to the degree that it can directly appear like that, as it said at moment Vipassana Yana. Like now, we talk about seeing, hearing, thinking, tattva, and sanya, and so on. They do not appear at all, because no understanding of anything. But when there is understanding of the reality which experiences the object, but they have different characteristics and different way of experiencing the object. For example, sanya, memory, marks and remembers arrives to what? not to like or dislike, not to see or to hear, but to remember just the reality, another reality, which arises to remember what is there, which appears as it is, wrong sanya vipalasa, or right sanya with understanding. So many kinds of sanya. So when we talk about sanya right now, begin to understand the characteristic which arises and the object. That's why it's known as something. But who knows the moment when sanya marks? But the moment of taking it for something is there. That's why no reality is known as it is. Only something is taken for something all the time. That's why hearing about the reality, it has to be why it's a reality, because it's there. It has its characteristic to be known, that it's not the other characteristic. Visible object, that which is seen, is not that which is heard. It's not that which smelled, tasted, or thought about. So in life, so many things without understanding that each different reality arising together, it's not known as it is one by one. So they are there as something all the time. The reality which experiences the object, no other people, no other thing at all, only the moment of experiencing the object. So it's I, who else, which experiencing, because not understanding the truth that is already conditioned to arise to see or to hear, to think or to experience the object. So learn to understand the truth of that which experiences the object. Otherwise, it's known as I like it, I'm angry, I hate, and so on. But whereas it's the attachment, liking is there to that very object, no one there at all. That's why learning to understand what is there in a moment, one by one. And this is the way to understand the Naya, no matter it's in the Visuddhimagga or Paticcasamuppada, talking about the reality which experiences, and the chief one, which experiences the object clearly. Nothing can experience it as clear as the chief that experiences it. Why is the chief? Because there are other mental factors, the reality which can experience the object by its own way, not by being experiencing so clear like the chief, the chitta, we call it chitta, and the other is cetasika. We learn to understand not the word, but the reality by that word. That's why if we just remember how many kinds of chittas and cetasikas, not understanding what is there now, it's useless, it's be forgotten in this life, another life, or just now. Forget about what we have heard or understood before. That's why learning about the truth of it, no expectation, not for anything, just to understand the truth. So this is the foundation of understanding the truth, very firm foundation. Otherwise, what for? Why? That is the hearing and considering about these words of truth, of whatever is there now. Is this Naya inductive to understand the truth?
Far away from that level.
And I think, Vincent, that if we're talking about understanding now, pariyati understanding, it is understanding, thinking about the truths, and inferences are made about the truths. But if we're talking about satipatthana, it is the direct understanding which understands the truth, the reality very well. not thinking about it or by inference. And if it's the very developed understanding that understands very clearly vipassana jnana, then it's not any understanding by inference or induction at all. It is a very clear, very direct understanding of khanda now, such as seeing, which arises and falls away and is gone at each moment. So whenever there's any reference to vipassana jnana, it's always referring to the very direct, very clear understanding. So no matter whether it's by way of khanda or ayatana or dhatu that is being discussed, but it has to be the very clear, very direct understanding, not any kind of inferential understanding at those moments of vipassana jnana.
Vincent, perhaps this is what is meant, that it's just the level of understanding that would know that is the case. For example, if we were asked at this stage whether the khandas of the past and the future are like this, we may say yes or no, but it would not be in accordance to the level of understanding. Means that if we said yes, it would not be true. It would just be an inference and based on the level of understanding, but it's not real knowledge. But perhaps that level of vipassana jnana is that level of knowledge that would know.
It has to be a level of vipassana jnana, that's for sure. It's not logical. It's not because of the logic deduction. So it's because the panya is already at a very high level. To, even though not directly knowing the scene far away, but the particular experience that person has regarding seeing, direct seeing, experience clearly, will start to have the confidence, be the seen far or near, then it's the same. I think the confidence certainly comes from the real knowledge, not just intellectually thinking.
Right, but I think it's still referring to the knowledge, to the understanding itself, because you might consider that the understanding, the vipassana jnana, just before that one is not of that level, where, as you say, the confidence is not of the same level, but it's still referring to the panya, not the adhitthana or the saddha, but still the panya that's being referred to.
Yes, but the knowledge, it has to be universally true. The seeing, even far away the world, very far away or in the future. For the confidence, the seeing is the same. It's
and
still
I
it's
think,
not directly known.
yeah, but that would probably be based on, as Achan in another discussion talked about, the past meaning what just passed, and the future is knowing that this present is the future of what just passed. That kind of knowledge. So if you're talking about past and future, then it's the understanding that knows that it's like this. Anytime it's like this. It's just the way it's the nature of reality that it must be like this.
Well, I think that even that knowledge, Sukhin, has to be, because not all moments can be the object of awareness and understanding. But at some stage when understanding is developed, it becomes apparent according to what we read in the text that what is being understood about the present reality, for example, that it is anicca, dukkha, anatta, applies to all other realities also, or all other realities of the same kind.
But would that thinking need to arise, and is that knowledge that being referred to referring to that kind of thinking, or is it just the panya that knows that level of panya?
It's a level of panya.
I think, yeah, that's the level of panya, and it could be the parinya, the second parinya, for understanding as investigation. But anyway, it's all knowledge. It's the true knowledge. It's not just thinking.
And it comes back to the understanding of the truth deeper and deeper of the reality now. If there's the understanding of hardness now directly and more firmly and clearly, then there is the understanding of that hardness which arises and falls away. And it doesn't matter whether it's the hardness that's being experienced today, or the one that's gone, or the one in the future, or any hardness. When that hardness appears, that is the nature of it. It is that same characteristic of reality that also arises and falls away. And so at this stage, there is the beginning of the understanding of the arising and falling away. There is the understanding clearly at this moment of what khanda is. So any khanda, seeing now, it is that reality that arises and falls away. So not by thinking, but directly knowing. So it's not a matter of thinking about the seeing that was experienced in the Buddha's time, or the one that we experience in the future, but it is the direct understanding of the nature of seeing now. So nothing to do with by inference, but by vipassana. It is the clear, direct understanding of that, the nature of that reality, deeper and deeper. And the parinya applies the knowledge to other realities that are experienced. It's still direct understanding. It is still satipatthana, because there isn't vipassana jnana all the time. So at other moments, there are moments of satipatthana that directly understands other realities in also as arising and falling away. But it is direct understanding.
Please excuse me, Jonathan, would you kindly repeat what you said about experiencing the characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta? Sort of backtrack there. Would you kindly repeat that again?
Well, I'm not sure if I can repeat exactly what I said, but as I read the texts, at some point, the knowledge that has been accumulated, the understanding of different realities as having the characteristic, for example, as having the characteristic of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, that panya comes to know that all conditioned realities have those three characteristics, or all conditioned realities of the same kind have those three characteristics. I think that's what I said. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And the other point, Vincent, is back to what is meant by group or kalapa here when we're talking about the samasana jnana. So Ajahna's been stressing that the kalapa, no matter whether it is the group of rupas or the group of namas arising together, such as a group of Cheta seekers, that they have to arise and fall away together in a group. And again, it is the direct understanding, not the thinking about, well, each each kanda, far, near, this and that, but the group that arises together, each one arising and falling away together. But I think this is also a difficult topic, which is why I think that in her response to your summary, she feels it's important to go back to the basics. Otherwise, it's easy to get confused. I don't know if you or Ajahn has anything further you would like to add on at this point. What do you understand by group here, Vincent? Sorry, we can't hear
John
you.
explained like, oh, how about now?
Yes,
It's better? Okay. Well, like Chitta is not just itself. They are the Chitta Sika together. That's the group together.
So not the Rupa that was long time ago in the Buddha's time, and the one in the future, and the one inside and outside, but the Rupas together in a group now that arise and fall away at this moment.
Right. It's the Ajahn also gave us simile about the while we are having lunch, and then what's inside the ball, the dishes, and it's like a group together.
Because when you were talking about in your introduction about how you understood the inductive or the Naya, you were mentioning about the inference to different rupas at different times or here or there, which are not directly understood, but that's quite different from what we're discussing about the rupas arising together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would like to add anything further, Ajahn. Yeah.
I think Vincent was probably previously addressing the passage that said any materiality, whatever. He defines all materiality as impermanent. This is one kind of comprehension. He defines it as painful. This is one kind of comprehension, etc.
Mm-hmm. John, you were going to say something?
Well, I just said that I think previously we were discussing that passage, which talks about all materiality and all feelings and all, etc. of the
right,
is defined as having the same characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Just talk again about group. We can talk about group many, many times to understand this moment. Group means not only one, right?
Right.
So one or group of the reality which experiences the object arising together in a group, right? And if we change the word from group into in a moment, see, there are so many moments. So there are many groups of that which experiences object, nama, arising and falling away in a moment. For example, moment of seeing, how many groups of that which arise to see, not only one, right? Even in one group, there must be citta and cetasika in a group. But even seeing right now, many groups of seeing does not appear as just one at a time, but appears as seeing only. Actually, many groups, if you use that word of seeing, arising and falling away, arising and falling away, and other groups of other citta, like Sampatichana and Santirana are there too. But what appears is only seeing. Is that true? But
Yes.
Vajana does not appear, Sampatichana does not appear. What appears is only seeing. Group of seeing and many groups too. So we can use the word kalapa or group, no matter what word it means that. In a moment, in one group, there are citta and cetasika in a group. But at this moment, when seeing is there, not only one moment or one group of seeing, but many groups, right, of group of seeing. We can use the term kalapa because we used to understand kalapa as the group of rupa, akalapa, arising together. And what about nama? The same, but different characteristic, because the reality which experience is not the reality which does not experience. That's why nobody can just chop up the group of akalapa at all, right? So just understand what is known in life is not all dhammas which arise and falls away in split seconds. That's why ignorance cannot understand the truth because of the arising and falling away in a group and in many groups as groups. See, what appears in life is only 6 ways. While one is fast asleep, even citta and cetasika arise together, experience an object. It's not known. It does not know anything. Who am I? Where am I? Where are my possessions, my car, my house, so on? No idea now. Because it does not experience the object of this world, which has been experienced from birth, and take whatever is there as my and mine and something in one's life. That's why if Buddha didn't enlighten the truth, he couldn't say anything about the absolute truth of a group or kalapa, no matter of nama or rupa, when we understand what is meant by kalapa or rupa. So it's the kalapa of nama too. But the reality is different. So the nama, we don't use the word kalapa. We can use the word for kalapa or group or other word to make it known as what we mean. Only to understand the meaning, the truth of it. So this is the hidden truth of the world. And so it does not appear, anything does not appear well as it is. It appears as like the magic of magic world or watching a play, not understanding what is there at all. Only the light and the machine can condition the story of a movie, see? So what is in truth is only citta and cetasika and rupa arising and falling so rapidly. That's why the absolute truth is hidden from life to life. So when Buddha enlightened, each of his words taught about what is there to be understood as it is, little by little. So even the world goes on like now, as usual. It depends on whether there is the beginning of understanding of what is there, one by one, as it is or not, to let go the idea of what is taken for I by sanya, not understanding the truth, that what appears is not only one reality, but the what you call it's there as shape and form to be taken for something all the time. Even it appears like that, but right understanding can begin to understand what is there for it to appear like that, to appear like people and things. What are there in truth? Little by little, just developing the understanding of the truth, no matter what word is about the nature of it, it can be studied and it can be known. The reality which experiences an object in life, moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, no doubt, but it's there. But no understanding of the absolute truth, of the arising and falling away of whatever is there now, even right now, has to be understood little by little when it's there by anatta, not at will, not by effort or try too hard to understand it. Just understanding by hearing, considering carefully, wisely. The truth is the truth. That's right. Be truthful. The truth that what is that is not anyone. Seeing is seeing. So not I see for sure, because seeing arises no matter where. We can use the word in or out or in or anything. But at the moment when it arises, it sees no one there at all, no door, no house, no place to be at all. Whatever is there is seeing, arising and falling away. No idea about the bird or the tree, sees the worm and so on. Seeing is seeing. And this is the beginning of the development of understanding what is there as it is, true or not. And Panya develops when it understands the truth, little by little, but so firm, with confidence of the truth that nothing can be taken for anything permanent at all. Only this has to be very firm confidence, firm understanding of the truth, to understand the other word, the other truth of what is there, because that's not just seeing, uncountable, never to return. So how can anyone count how many realities are there? But it's there now by conditions. Just beginning to understand from hearing, considering, no need to try so hard to understand the nature of it, but by understanding that it's just a reality. It is. That's why even the reality which arises to experience is not known, because it's I who understand, I who listen, I who think. But from hearing is hearing, thinking is thinking. And there are other realities too, kusala, characteristic, which is not wholesome and wholesome and so on. So many things in life is not known. So listen to the word of truth about each reality to begin to understand what is life, what is taken for life. Only different moments of different conditioned reality arising volume. And it's now, but it takes a long time to let go wrong understanding and ignorance accumulated eons and eons, uncountable eons. So Panya develops as so very little to let go, even the thinking about it, what is seen as a bird. But there is the understanding behind the understanding that it's seen and it's not anything, because seeing is gone and that gone instantly. And this is parami. Be truthful to the truth. Satya parami, from word to word, one word at a time, to understand the truth is the truth, and what is true. The absolute truth has its own characteristic, never change at all. We can talk about anything in life because it's a reality. And Buddha thought about the truth of it in many naya to understand the truth. Now,
So,
Panya,
John,
yes,
no, just we were talking about the group. So, for example, the COVID, the fever, the group is keep coming, We know the akusala vipaka just arise and fall away. The fire element just arise and fall away. But the whole body is a big group, and it's keep coming. The nanakanika gamma pacha keep coming, keep condition the akusala vipaka, the fire element. And
aware of anything, everything, but not understanding the characteristic which now appears and disappears. Right? COVID. What the truth of COVID is.
COVID is concept.
Can it be heard? It's a reality which has its own nature to be known as it is through what doorway?
It's just all about through mind door process.
It is COVID. It's not a reality, right?
Right.
And what is true? COVID is true. The truth of what is there we take for COVID is true.
Different moment of experience.
Say it again, please.
Just different moment of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do not even have the symptoms. So
through what doorway? There must be doorway for any moment of experiencing an object.
If fever is through the body door.
Body door. What can appear? Body door.
Fire element.
Yes. Heat.
Heat. Yes.
Is there any name?
Is there any name? No. No need for name.
Mm-hmm. So, where's COVID?
Just thought about. Just
Where is
usually
it?
acoustic thinking. Where is it?
Yeah, right.
Because
in truth, it's that which is seen at moment when there is seeing. It's heard COVID when it's heard, and we take it for COVID, not the other things. Is there any smell? Is that smell COVID? Or just a smell arising and falling away? But different conditions, and they arise together. It condition the idea of something as COVID, but in truth, Chitta, Cetasika, and Rupa only.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, Achan, can we say COVID is actually a rupa conditioned by Uto?
Do we have to say anything? Because actually there's no COVID.
What do you mean when you say that COVID is a rupa, Sukin? What rupa
Because
is COVID?
the idea of COVID comes from certain experiences, and which, of course, by inference, as let's say in the case of Vincent, who seems to have fever on and on again, and he traces it back from the idea of being infected by COVID, which is from that I infer that it's some kind of rupa that conditioned those other rupas.
There is COVID, so there is I. Right? Which is not COVID.
It's
COVID
there is
is
COVID, there's I, but there's also I when there's heat experience on the on the body sense.
Who knows? At the moment when it appears through body sense.
So even that is taken for I. But we don't say that the body sense, we don't say that the heat is a concept just because there's an I that experiences the heat.
Is there I? So there is COVID. If there's no I,
Yes,
there's
yes.
no. So it's different experiences at different time. What is there is not I, who has such painful feeling. And the object which condition and present feeling is not anything. It's that which can impinge on the I base. Otherwise, there's no such feeling at all. Otherwise, there must be I all the time. But in truth, is that what is I? Is there any I or someone or disease like COVID?
There are different experiences taken for I. There are
And there's no understanding of the truth.
right, right.
I
So
think, Sukin, it's
yes,
I
yes,
was going
yes,
to say,
yes. Go on.
it's just like when we talk about a body, we can talk about the body conventionally, but when there's the idea of a body now, a body that is experienced, it's the idea of I, of utter, something there. And it's the same with COVID. We can talk about it conventionally to communicate, but in reality, right now, like just as there's no self, there's no body, there's no arm, there's no leg, there's no COVID, there's no anything at all. There are just different Chaitasika and rupas arising and falling away. What is experienced through the body sense is not even fever, it's just heat or cold that we call fever, or there's just painful bodily feeling and we say my body aches, but actually it's just moments of painful bodily feeling. So just different realities, which together we call a long story about how one has COVID, but in reality, no COVID at all.
Right,
Yes.
but the same way that we talk about, say, Sakyaditi as different from Atanuditi, because Sakyaditi refers to what we take for this person.
Right.
Now you wouldn't say that even that has no basis, right? We say that what is taken for this person is certain experiences different from what we take for another person, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
this is we say my arm, and that one we don't say is my arm.
Right. So,
but in truth, there is no my arm at all.
Sure. But there are certain experiences distinct, one from the other. One is that which we take for mine and not somebody else's. And another that we take for somebody else and not mine. So there are two different realities at that moment, which are distinct. So say talk about rupas, certain rupas outside the body, there is a basis for saying that that's outside
But actually,
because
the
it's not
heat,
inside.
but the heat and experience is actually just heat. But because of Sanya, that comes to be thinking, oh, this one is the one outside, or this is the one inside, or this is the one that's my body, or that's the one that belongs to another. But in truth, it's just heat that's experienced, no matter we say
Right.
outside or inside. But
Right,
Sanya
right.
marks different heat in different ways. But when it's understanding, no thought of inside or outside or his or mine, because it's just heat, no matter what heat it is. So it's because of not understanding the reality that there is the idea that there are inside and outside and his and mine, but in truth, just heat that is experienced, just different rupas that experience through the body sense, regardless, no matter whether
Sarah.
it's taken for inside or outside. Hi, Eve.
Sarah, yes, please. I just want to make clearer that this virus, bacteria, and so on, paramecium, and these one-celled or very small entities are not actually beings, although conventionally science states that they are alive or so on, but that it is indeed rupa. They do not have eye, ear, nose, and so forth, basis to experience anything. So it would be wrong thinking, for example, to speculate or go that this is actually an entity because of a kusala vipaka is there and so forth. It is indeed rupa. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. I
Thank
mean, I don't think Sarah is talking in terms of having taken it for a living being or something. She just
No. Yes,
no.
yes.
Yes.
I'm in court just to further clarify that it is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
rupa,
yeah, yeah.
because many people conventionally will say that no, it's a living entity, but just no eye, ear, nose, but there is a body to it. There is actual form, but it is rupa indeed. Yes.
And we can't, I don't think we could even say that COVID is rupa, because it's just actually a name, a phantom of one's imagination, because what is touched now is hardness. Is hardness COVID? What is smelt now is odor COVID? What is heard is sound odor? So it's just a conventional name, but actually in reality, no COVID at all.
Right, and that's what I'm hearing, Eve, from Sarah, that that it seems to be that there is no validity in talking about rupas other than the rupa that appears.
Yes. I do find discussion of rupas helpful. All the discussions I find helpful. I cannot possibly phrase the question in the various ways that the group does. So if it were simply myself asking Ajahn, the understanding, what little understanding is there, wouldn't be there, because I'm hearing it phrased differently through various people, participants in the Dhamma study group. And I find these discussions beneficial.
I think we're almost out of time for today. So let's just see if Ajahn has any last comments she'd like to add, and then we can also continue tomorrow. Ajahn, would you like to add anything further?
Yes. Without the four primary rupas, can there be COVID as we take it from what is touched or thought and then thought about? See, without the four primary rupas, can there be what we take for COVID or table or pen?
No.
So what is the absolute truth? To be known as no one and nothing at all, no COVID, no I, no house, no car, no world.
It's only Dhamma.
That's it. So even what is heard, the word COVID is heard, and it conditions the idea of something touched. So painful or whatever is analyzed, it doesn't matter at all about the moment of the mind or process, thinking about what is touched and heard, and on other sense though. Can there be right understanding at the moment when one thinks that one has COVID?
Only of what appears, not ideas. That's right.
See, that's why it's only thinking about the word of that touching or that which is touched as different things. And this is called COVID. And that is called pen. And this is called foot or anything. Just thinking about the meaning of the reality which appears different ones. So learn to understand. Can I call you COVID? It doesn't matter at all. As we can call the heat and cold as COVID, or we change the word. The same kind is there.
But in truth, no COVID rupa, just as there is no Sukhin rupa or no Sarah rupa or no anything rupa. It's just the heat or the hardness that appears only, whatever it's called.
Now, see what is touched. See, when there is the understanding, not the leg, not the arm, not the table, only hardness is touched. One away, only two. Arising and falling away, never to return. Just consider the truth, the absolute truth, to understand that there must be the absolute truth, but it's not known as it is. It's taken by nimitta, shape and form, make it known as bird and fish and so on. And Sukhin and Sujin and Sarah and Jonathan, Eve, Vincent, see what it's seeing. See, different shape and form to be taken for this and that. In truth, no one there at all, not me at all. As there's no me, can there be COVID? As what is seen now is taken for Sujin, what about that which is taken, seen as COVID? Does it have any shape? Is that shape COVID? See, in truth. That's why without the absolute truth, Paramadadhamma, Abhidhamma, that cannot be what we take for thing and people and the world at all. When it's true, can they understand it more and more to understand clearer and clearer? So much to be known until it appears so clear, different from we just know that now, seeing gone, everything gone. That is not clear. But it's the beginning to have right understanding of the truth. What appears just appears as nimitta, beginning to understand, no matter what word, COVID and COVID. What is heard is only nimitta of different sounds to be taken for this, that, by different sounds, and then gone. Otherwise, there cannot be higher, clearer understanding of the truth. So begin to understand the truth, even just one word. What appears is now appearing, and what is the truth of that which appears, and that which experiences that which appears. See, even this now is not understood. So how can there be the understanding of such words about disease and by way of science or doctor, physician, and so on? It's not as true as understanding of the absolute truth of that as it is. No one and nothing. No one can stop the way it arises, the way it's going. Is it true? That's all. Confidence, satya. Without satya, there cannot be higher or clear understanding of what is there now, which can be known. When right understanding develop and ignorance is let go off little by little. And now tomorrow, what time in the morning?
At 10 o'clock, I think Kun Em said you would like to